Persons under 18 will not be admitted.
Appreciate your choosing our theater. And to make this experience more enjoyable for everyone, we hope you'll refrain from talking during the show. Enjoy the movie. Thank you.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. We have very active lifestyles. It's not all wandering the countryside aimlessly or scaring passing motorists. And we all love a good cup of joe. And there's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. Bold, robust, delicious. It's coffee that can wake the dead. With over a dozen different roasts and flavors, Deadly Grounds can satisfy the most finicky of coffee addicts. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for, and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Hey, happy Wednesday, everybody. You're watching Still Toking with. My name's Leo. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard here. We have a kick-ass show for you today. And as always, Benjamin, how's it going, bud?
Good. I was messing with my computer screen because I'm fading into the background here, but that's
Yeah,
okay.
I was gonna say your hair is all sparkly.
You like that, huh? I did it just for you guys. But no, I'm super excited about our show tonight, man.
Oh, hell yeah.
Our guest tonight is an amazing gentleman, and we're blessed to actually call him a friend. I think we'll find out by the end of the show if he still likes us.
Jeffrey.
Hey, happy Wednesday, everybody.
Happy
And
Wednesday.
it's May the 4th be with you too.
Yes.
It is, right?
Oh yeah.
I was gonna
man.
do my Darth Vader thing, but I decided not to.
Jeff's
I'm not
going
tall enough.
nerd on us.
You
Hey.
know? So
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm looking forward to chatting with this guy. We haven't seen him in a while. So virtually, yeah, that works for me. Let's bring in Guy Gilchrist.
Hey,
How you doing, Guy?
doing excellently. Good to see you guys.
I see
Been
you
a while
got
Massachusetts.
Froggy behind you.
I do. We are in the land of the giant frog. Yes.
Very cool.
Very cool.
I think what Guy was saying is it's been about 2 years.
Has it really? Yeah.
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 Yeah. I mean, we went from seeing each other like every 3 to 6 months to not seeing each other for 2 years.
I know, right?
But some things never change. At least I hope not. Because you're still doing it. You're still drawing. You're still out there on the circuit doing your thing. I know that because I'm one of those Facebook trolls. I kind of Facebook troll Guy. I will be honest.
Well, I make it pretty easy to troll me on there. You know, I mean, I'm posting all the time. So
True. So, yeah, let's get into it. Go ahead, Jeff. I know you want to go.
Well, the first question I have for you is, and I don't know the difference in the definitions, but do you consider yourself an artist or a cartoonist mainly?
cartoonist.
Cartoonist.
Yeah. You know, I really usually, in my mind anyway, a cartoonist is somebody that is writing and drawing, you know, merging words and pictures. Whereas an artist can be a lot of different things. So yeah, cartoonist works for me.
Okay. I was
But
always curious about that.
But technically, he could be a cartoonist / artist because we'll get into that later because he's also a musician, which is a form of art.
There is that part, but But I think that most people, with all of the cartoons that I've been involved with over all the years, you know, I would think that, you know, that they would think I'm a cartoonist.
Very good.
And behind Ben is one of your creations, Nancy.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Nancy. How did Nancy get started?
Well, Nancy's been around since 1933, and actually Fritzy Ritz, which Fritzy Ritz, the comic strip of Fritzy Ritz, begot Nancy. Fritzy Ritz is actually celebrating her 100th birthday this year.
Wow.
Nancy showed up in 1933 during the Depression. She was an orphan. You never found out what relation she was to Fritzy, but Fritzy was sort of like a glitz and glamour flapper kind of girl, and you know, with different suitors and all of that stuff. And then her life completely changed. Now, when Nancy showed up originally in Ernie Bushmiller's story, in 33, it was only supposed to last for, you know, a couple of weeks, be some episodes, you know, of the thing. But she turned out to be so popular that she, you know, very, very soon took it over. And so much so that in 1938, the strip was changed from Fritzy Ritz to Nancy. Now, I took it over in 1995. So I'm like the third or fourth guy, you know, to have done it. And I worked on Nancy first with my brother, Brad.
Mm-hmm.
We wrote it and drew it for the first 7 years or so together. And then for the last 13 or 14 that I did it on my own. I retired from that, but not retired. But I walked away finally from Nancy at the end of 2017. They kept running it, for half the year of 18 or something. But I had finally felt like I had said all that I wanted to say, and I was really chomping at the bit to do some other stuff.
Nancy,
But I loved those. I really enjoyed the platform of Nancy, all the things I was able to say, the things I was able to do. It was a totally different style of artwork for me. I'm really sort of, a funny animal and cute girl sort of, brush and ink guy, where this was all pen and ink. It was a gag-a-day strip, which was not something that I had really done since the Muppets. And so, it was a growing thing. And, I learned a lot from it. And I honestly, when I got the job, not only were newspapers really starting to decline, but Nancy in her popularity as a strip had really declined. And this was sort of a last ditch effort. They were looking for somebody to breathe some new life into the thing by sort of bringing it back to the Ernie Bushmiller-esque kind of thing. I took it over with the idea. Honestly, guys, I thought I'd do it for 2 years, and it turned it.
Wow.
Well, Leo, you were going to ask something real quick.
Well, yeah. So, Nancy, the Sunday Funnies. I always read Nancy. I absolutely loved it. Didn't they turn Nancy into a animated show at one point?
There were some animated bits that were on Saturday mornings in like the 70s. And there are several, I believe it was Fleischer, the same guys that did Popeye. And if anybody knows, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm wrong about 4,000 times a day, but I think Fleischer, they did like 3 Nancy and Sluggo cartoons in the 40s, but 2 of them are lost, and there's only one that exists, and you can find it online somewhere.
Wow.
That's so really those are back in the 40s. Okay.
Yeah. But he brought something up during that when he brought up drawing for the Muppets. So I want to go back and hear the story, because I've only heard bits and pieces of the story of that phone call that you got from Mr. Henson that changed your life and sent you in this direction. Would you share a little bit of that with us?
Well, the story of how I got the Muppets is sort of a long one, and it's really a story of me being an idiot, not understanding how things worked, being young and very determined. The phone call actually didn't come from Jim. It came from Jewel, but Jim's head writer. But I'll go back a little bit. So I was doing a comic book for Weekly Reader, and you guys all remember Weekly Reader in your school. And have book clubs, and I did a comic book for a book club. It was a funny animal comic, and some people really remember it very fondly. It was called Super Colonel Comics. That was the very first thing I really ever did that I had my name on. Well, it was late 70s. The Muppets was the biggest thing in the world. The Muppet Show was the biggest thing in the world. The Muppet movie was just coming out, and I found out about the existence of a museum of cartoon art that was on the Connecticut-New York border. At that time, I lived in Connecticut. I live in Nashville now. And so when I found out that it existed, Mort Walker had bought a castle, made a museum of it, and for the first time in America, he was attempting to say that cartoon art, book illustration and cartoon book illustration and comic strips and comic books are art. And this is an American art form, and we should regale it. We should appreciate it. And so anyway, when I found out that this existed, Mort Walker, of course, is the creator of Beetle Bailey, High and Lois, Boner's Ark, and many, many, many other things. Greatest artist of all time. Anyway, Mort had a thing where there would be a famous cartoonist that would show up every first Sunday of a month, and they would do a chalk talk, and they had a little theater there. Well, sometimes the famous cartoonist couldn't show up for one reason or another, and they would look for someone local to do the talk. Well, they thought I was local. They had me do the talk. Mort saw my talk and said, you did a pretty nice job there. There's only one problem. No one knows who you are or what you do. What do you do? And went out to the truck, and I got these funny animal comics that I was doing. Mort looked at them and said, okay, well, we'll schedule you for an actual talk, and we'll put some of your artwork up in the foyer so that people can see what you do. So he actually gave me a little one-man show there at this museum. Well, wow. Mort forgot my artwork, and a year or so later, he was out golfing with Bill Yates, the head of King Features, the biggest comic syndicate in the world, Mickey Mouse, Blonde, and Beetle, of course. And Bill was lamenting the fact to Mort that they had a contract with Henson for about 2 years for the development of a comic strip. Jim Henson had wanted a comic strip based on the Muppet show, because at some point he knew he was going to stop production of the weekly show to concentrate on other shows and movies, which, as we all know, he did. So it had to have been in 78 or 79 at the height of Muppets that Jim started looking. Well, they had said no to everyone, and they had tried out 200 people or something, and Bill was saying, we're about to lose the deal. Mort goes, that's a frog and a pig, right? And Bill says, yeah. He says, well, there's this hippie kid. And that's Hong Kong. And huge Muppets fan. I didn't believe for a second it was Bill Yates calling me. I thought it was my brother-in-law at the time, and I said some real choice words to him and hung up the phone. Well, the phone rings immediately back. I hear the same choice words in my ear, and he goes, and this is Bill Yates, and I don't know if I like you or not. And he starts laughing, and I said, I'm freaking out and going, Mr. Yates, I thought it was Chuck. I'm trying to tell him a story, blah, 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 yammer. Anyway, I got the audition. I brought the work into New York City. Bill liked what he saw, asked me to do some more. And then a year's journey began. I was still doing the comic book, and that's how I was making my money. But until somebody told me I didn't have the job, I would just keep on drawing and writing it and hope for the best. So for about a year, I drew it for free. Now, during that year, I got to go to 117 East 69th Street, Brownstone in Manhattan, and meet Michael Frith and quite a few of the people, tour the Muppet Workshop and all of that stuff. Jim was over in England doing the show. And but they were very non-committal, but they didn't say no. That's the main thing. They didn't say no. So I kept on just drawing it. I would draw it in pencil as tight as I could, not really knowing how to draw the Muppets, not really knowing what I was doing, but I kind of knew the Muppets. I watched it. I was a huge fan, and I just kept on doing what I kind of thought I should do. And I was getting tips all along the way from Bill Yates and Mort Walker and many other people. And some of the tips, though, were, Guy, maybe you want to hang this up for a little while. We haven't heard anything. Well, then one day, about a year into it, the phone rang, and it was Jerry Jewell, Jim's head writer. And I'm in my garage studio in Unionville, Connecticut. It's toward the end of the day. Jerry's out in LA, I guess. And he just started talking gags about Gonzo. Wouldn't it be funny if Gonzo becomes infatuated with a bunch of earthworms? And so he decides to turn them into the Rockettes. But I go, so we call them the wormettes. He goes, perfect. Okay. But every time they kick their leg up, like the Ronettes, they fall down because they're earthworms. They only got one leg. And so we're cracking up. I'm going, but Mr. Jewell, why are you talking to me about these? This is, oh, you've had the job for a month. Didn't anybody call you?
Oh,
So, that's how I found out. And, yeah, that's how I found out. So, like I said, it's a crazy, trip.
Yeah.
That's
Like
awesome.
I said, I've heard bits and pieces just through passing and chatting with you and seeing some of the panels that you've done, but I wanted our viewers and our listeners to be able to get that story, and hopefully appreciate it.
Well, it's one it's something, it's something that you instinctively, a lot of us instinctively have when we're young. We don't have any knowledge that something's impossible. We just want it. We want it with all of our heart. Right. And, you don't listen to anything. You just go and you do what you're going to do, and you flub up and you mess up and you succeed and you rise to the challenge, you fall down, all of the things that you do. In any form of something that you want so desperately, it's something that's a real heart's desire for you. This is how it is. The trick is to make sure that you hang on to a piece of that for your whole life. It's easier a little bit when you're young. You have a lot more energy, and you're really striving for something. I hope you are. I was. But then but then you don't want to let knowledge get in the way. Now you think well. Right. You really ought to sort of, always try to go back to that enthusiasm that you had and recapture that and use that. And if you do, I think you have a great life.
And I think the word you're talking about is your inner passion.
Yeah. I always tell kids, and I say it in front of their parents, so the parents know I'm giving them this advice. And I smile at the parents, and I always say, don't listen to your parents. Don't listen to your family. Your family loves you. They don't want you to fail, but no one but you knows the passion and the fire that's in your heart. Now, there's the opposite too, where the parents have the fire for the kid. The kid doesn't have it at all. See, so it works both ways. Right. And so in that case, I'm always telling the parents, don't turn this into a job, for the kid. Let the kid find their enjoyment in it, because there's a big difference between being a professional and being someone that's an artist that enjoys art, and this is an emotional release, this is a therapy, this is an enjoyment, this is gifts that they can give, this is a pastime and a passion. But doing it for a living, it's different. So I do have that chat quite a bit. That's one of the things that cons allows me to do, is talk to folks, quite a bit.
Yeah. And actually I found I think it was a 2-minute clip on YouTube. It's called Guy Gilchrist intro, and it's all about you in cons. Oh, do you mind if we play that real quick? Seeing how you brought up cons?
I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, let's give it a play if you have it, Leo.
I believe I do. Here we go.
I'm Guy Gilchrist. I'm Jim Henson's cartoonist. That's what I'll pretty much always be known as, because Jim was the person that sort of changed my life and brought me out, you know, into the international spotlight. I mean, I'm 64 years old now, and I got about 5 million miles on this drawing arm of mine. When you work in production, like I did, doing comic strips, books, and television shows for all of those years, you wind up chained to a drafting table. So coming to these cons is awesome because I'm getting to draw, meet, and tell the stories of the Muppets, the Muppet Babies, the Fraggles, the Bugs Bunny stuff, Pink Panther, Tom and Jerry, Nancy and Sluggo, all of that, one-on-one. Plus, I'm able to draw, and draw for little kids. We live in a world right now where everything's on a computer and everything looks fake. And this is real. I mean, you know, this is real paper right here, you know? And I can even explain that once upon a time, we used to cut down trees, slice them really, really thin, print on them, and there were newspapers with cartoons in there, you know? And that's how I started. And so I'm able to draw for little kids, and hopefully that will inspire them to want to do what I do, which is make smiles. I get asked who is my favorite character to draw by about every single kid or adult or grandchild. You know, there's many, many generations of people that come up to these con tables. And the answer is always the same. It's whichever one I'm working on right at that minute. One of the things that I think is real important about coming out to these shows is try to continue and expand on and extend the character of Jim Henson. The all-inclusive nature, the love for this entire world, how no one is alone and no one should ever feel alone, and everyone is loved and everyone is celebrated, no matter who you are, no matter what you are, no matter what you're into. You know, you can walk away from doing day-to-day production, which is what I've done, but never, ever, ever retire, because the art is your heart. This is it. And this is a time now in my life where I get to meet more people one-on-one than I ever have in my entire life.
That was cool.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Forgot we had that.
I was scanning the internet earlier, looking for other stuff, music-wise from you, and I came across that, and I was like, that is awesome. I've got to send this to the producer, Leo, and try to get this on the show at some point tonight, because it shows a real passion, like you said, for everything that you do, but especially for trying to mentor younger children into, hopefully, the world of art.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, without, I mean, I got into art as a, as a baby, you know, as a little kid. My mom, we were very poor. She liked to draw. She was a waitress. She would take me to her job at the diner, and she would open up the funnies and give me paper and give me pencils and say, "Here, draw that." Like all of the funnies, to draw that. That would keep me, occupied through her shift, through the day. Right. And that's how that all began. When I first started doing cons, I was bringing out just the really finished stuff, and I bring out some paintings and that sort of thing. And then somebody at one point said, "What program do you do that in?" And right. I said, "Okay, I'm going to do something else." So while there are a couple of inked pieces, almost everything that I bring to those cons, all of the original art that I bring to the cons, I draw in pencil and color them in colored pencil, so that kids can immediately look at, a Muppet Baby, for instance, and then they can look at the 3D, animation that's on Disney now and go, oh, I get it. I'm sure that it's something that they feel is reachable for them,
Right.
that they can do. Very, very important.
Right. So during that little episode that we just watched, everybody, and I'm sending this out to all our viewers that are viewing everywhere and listeners later, you saw a bunch of different prints and things, and you can find out about how to get your own by going to the show notes where, Leo?
Here I'm the monkey up above, down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. And actually, the story with your mother, I was actually going to bring that up, and I read a very touching story about, you growing up not being able to afford to go to the movies, and then your mother like sitting down. I think it was Peter Pan, drawing the book with that. It's just amazing stuff.
Well, I think that. I think God really does love us, and everything is a blessing, and we should look at it that way. When I was little, I didn't know we were poor, and there was a theater in Winstead, Connecticut, and they were showing Peter Pan, and it cost $1 each. And my mom, she told me exactly how it would be in the theater and how wonderful it would be. And she even talked about how you would hear the clicking of the projector, and there'd be stuff beforehand, and you'd see the things beforehand, and then there would be all of the particles of dust, coming through the light as it went up. And she described the whole thing, and everything would move and everything would be alive, and there would be songs and all of that. And it got me so excited. She said, but Guy, when it's over, it's gone. You've experienced it, but it's gone. And you would have to go back again to get it. And then she held up a 19-cent golden book of Peter Pan. And she said, everyone's going to want to go in the drugstore and get this after the show so they can take it home. And we already have it. And then we would sit down at the kitchen table that night and draw the characters. And I couldn't read. She would say, here, read it to me. I'd look at the pictures and make up a story and stuff. And that was continual. That was the thing. So my mom made the fact that we didn't have anything into that we had everything. She was brilliant that way.
Wow. Yeah.
That's a cool story.
That's
amazing. That's definitely
so I'm gonna have to guess that your mom was probably the most influential person in your life.
She definitely was. She was very encouraging, and she pretty much let me always do anything I wanted. She was not really a disciplinarian or anything. I told her from as soon as I could say anything that I was going to be somebody that told stories and made people happy. And, and I kind of didn't know at the time whether it was going to be like, I saw like Elvis, making people happy. But Walter Lantz would be on TV. We couldn't afford a TV in those early years. So she would let me look at the TV that was at the appliance store that was also in the little town. And at 4 o'clock, Walter Lantz would come on with Woody Woodpecker cartoons. And you can go online, by the way, and not only see Woody Woodpecker cartoons, but watch what I'm talking about, where Walter would draw a character like Chilly Willy or something, show you how it was animated. He would turn the ovals and this and that. And I watched that, and that was the most fascinating thing in the world. And realizing that these ovals that I was drawing, to try to draw Bugs Bunny or Peter Pan or whatever, could also be Woody Woodpecker. And how do you make these move, and how do you put life into them and everything? And my mom bought me this coloring book, which was it was called Easy Way to Draw by Walter Lantz, that showed different emotions and things like that. And it stayed in print, that book, for 30 years. It was really popular. Anyway, when I was 10 years old, I was homesick from school, and by now we had a TV. And the Art Linkletter show, which was a talk show at the time, they always had their address so you could send in stories to them. Walter Lantz was a guest. So now I had an address for Walter Lantz. So for 2 months or so, I drew everything that I could, as good as I could. I mailed it to him. And don't you know that he wrote me back? He wrote me back. I mean, here I am. I'm a nothing. And the most famous guy in the world, as far as I'm concerned, I get a letter back from him. And it was all beautiful, this crisp white paper with full color Woody Woodpecker, with a big lance on a tiny toy white horse, and a big sunset. It said, like Sunset Boulevard, Hollywood, California. I'm like, gone. And you have a lot of talent for a 10-year-old boy. And I am sure that you practice a lot. If you keep on practicing and you never ever quit, someday I am sure you are going to be a successful cartoonist. Sincerely, Walter Lantz. Well, that was it.
Right.
That was it. He, so talk about people that were, that did it, that. And then, it's funny, but by, within 6 years, I was doing a coloring book for Disney at Whitman Publishing in New York City. I mean, I was off to the races, man.
Yeah.
I mean, once I got the okay from Walter, it was like, I didn't want to let him down. Now I had somebody that really believed in me, that was a success. And so off I went.
Wow. You're speechless, Jeff.
Yeah.
Well, if Jeff's speechless, then this must be a perfect time for that time of the show, Leo, that we have to pay bills.
Yeah, we do. And actually, I got another one I'm going to throw in there, really short.
Okay.
Yeah. You didn't tell me what you wanted me to play tonight.
I did. I sent you a message. I said the new ad, the Betty White, and that's it. But
okay, fine.
Fly, my friend, fly.
Okay. I want to thank everybody for watching this fine evening. We still got plenty of show left, but definitely check out the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. To listen to Guy, and chances are he's going to be at a con near you soon, doing a ton of cons this year. But we do have some ads to play, and here we go.
Daredevil and the Punisher. Spring has finally arrived, and that means summer cannot be far behind. And you know what I'm doing at the end of the summer? I'm going down to Maryland for the Pop and Horror Con, August 27th and 28th. I hope to see you there. It's going to be a great time.
Hey guys, this is Tony Moran. I played the original Michael Myers from John Carpenter's movie Halloween. I'm doing this great convention called the Maryland Pop and Horror Convention. Anyways, can't wait to see you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hey kids, George Lowe here, voice of TV's beloved Space Ghost. And you know what would be horrible and horrific and really scary? To miss Maryland Pop and Horror Con.
Thank you for supporting Actors and Others for Animals. We started a long, long time ago. So when you find an organization like Actors and Others for Animals, it sort of unites all of those of us who want to pay back something for all the joy we get out of animals. Please keep up the good work. Believe me, it's deeply appreciated.
There we go.
Okay. Betty White is a better day.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. That commercial was actually filmed right before she passed, and it was supposed to be released shortly after the beginning of the year. And one of the agents that I work with sent it to me and said, would you mind playing this during the live show for a couple of weeks, blah, blah. And I said, you know what? We're just going to play it all year long, off and on. Just amazing. But we were actually one of the first people to get the commercial, I was shocked. So,
we had a question that came in. Jeremy's asking, which Muppet do you most identify as?
Well, as I get older and older and older, it's going to be Sailor or Waldorf. I have a feeling.
But now that I'm talking so much about the old days, it's sort of Rolf the dog. I'll tell you what, you guys, you think that Kermit the Frog here is, he's all everything, but I'll tell you something. In the 1960s, I was top dog. I had the Jimmy Dean Show, a recording deal. I was on Mike Douglas, Phil Donahue. I was on everything. Oh, I was at every fire hydrant in every high-class place. Ciro's, the Copa. Then the Frog comes along. Man, did we get along great. We had more TV, movies. Everything was fantastic. Then Disney bought us. Now I live in a box.
Anyway.
And there you go, Jeremy.
That's awesome. So growing up, I absolutely loved the Muppet Babies. What was obviously inspiration from the Muppets, but how did that come to be?
Well, unbeknownst to me, so I was doing the strip. We had, and that was my all-consuming thing, and especially over the first year or two, because we had 80 million readers. 80 million readers. When you have 80 million readers, you know what that means? Don't spell stuff wrong. Anyway, because you'll go. Anyway, so I was doing that, but of course I was the first guy, to do Muppet cartoons, and Jim was very, very active in the strip, and and so the idea came about, cartoon, Muppets, and eventually that did happen. There were animated Fraggles and animated Pigs in Space and all that. Well, Jim Mahan, who worked at 117 East 69th. Remember, I worked in Connecticut in my own studio. So Jim Mahan was coming up with, he had an idea for baby Sesame Street Muppets. And anyway, that sort of started to evolve over there at the Brownstone, unbeknownst to me. Well, then I got a phone call from Michael Frith, my boss, on the strip. And Michael asked me to do my version of all of the Muppets as babies, but concentrate on the big four and the big six, basically, characters, most popular characters. And but I had to get it to him within about 2 days. And by that time, they were sculpting baby Rolf that was eventually going to be in Muppets Take Manhattan. Okay, in the dream sequence, right? Mm-hmm. So this was already a thing but no one knew it, and they weren't sure what they were going to kind of do with it at that point. Okay. And so anyway, I did what I needed to do. I had 2 days to draw as much as I possibly could. I wrote jokes because that's what I do. And I did these versions of the characters, which weren't all that different from my cartoon version of the regular Muppets. Because when I was drawing the regular Muppets in tiny little panels like this for the newspaper, you had to make their heads bigger, their eyes bigger, all that kind of stuff, body smaller, and animate them a lot. Because remember, we didn't have the color, the voices, the music, any of that stuff. And yet we had to still get laughs and connect with people. So anyway, I brought my stuff in, and that was sort of the beginning of everything. So, I was, a part of the creation of the babies. And once the story arc was established, and the story arc had to be the way it was going to be. You had a whole bunch of little babies, and they can't even cross the street by themselves. So they're going to be in the nursery all the time, and maybe wander out into the hallway or something. So everything had to happen in their imaginations. And so that was a wonderful thing. And then all the clips and all of that stuff. My job with the babies became doing hundreds and hundreds of drawings and, creating like a style guide for them, for all the different products, and doing paintings for every toy, every book, everything that I could possibly do while still doing my main job, which was writing and drawing Muppets for the world,
Wow.
Okay, very cool. I had a question. I'm always seeing you drawing the turtles. How did you get involved with the turtles?
So I got a phone call we had a pretty big studio at the time. This was late 80s. And I had, by then, in 86, we had stopped the Muppets comic strip. So I had, that full-time job was not there. I was still doing babies and a lot of stuff for Jim. But I had a deal with Random House Publishing in New York, their children's division, that I had so many people that were working, and I had worked on quite a few different properties like Looney Tunes for Warner Brothers. I was the East Coast Warner Brothers art director. I was doing Tom and Jerry and a lot of other things. So, and a lot of Disney properties as well. So I had a phone call from Roberta Purcell, who was the editor-in-chief over there. And she said, "Hey, Guy, because there was this deal I had that if they got any new children's license, they would run it by me first to see if me and my studio would want to take it on. But now anything that was gross, disgusting, anything that I didn't think was like, up my kids' alley, me being the arbiter of everything in good taste was, kind of my deal, I guess. I had always wanted a certain look to what we did and a certain feeling for everything that we did. And anyway, she goes, "You're not going to believe this." So it sounds like ABC is going to do a pilot for something called Teenage Mutilated Ninja Turtles. And I went, "What?" Now remember, there's Garbage Pail Kids and stuff like that. I said, "What?" She says, "Yeah, Teenage Mutilated Ninja Turtles." It says these little turtles, and they walk through this goop, and they get mutilated, and then they do karate, and they live in a sewer, and their boss is a rat. And I'm going, "Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it." And they laughed and laughed and laughed and hung up the phone. About 2-3 weeks later, I get a phone call from a guy in New Jersey. And he talked like this. "Is this Guy Francis Gilchrist?" I'm going, "What did I do to tick the mob off?" I've always been nice to the mob. The mob's been nice to me. I've been working in New York for 20 years. "This Guy Gilchrist,
who's this? You know, you turned me down. Who? The turtle guy. I went, what? The turtle guy. You know the turtles. I went, wait a minute. The mutilated turtles that live in a sewer with a rat and eat pizza? He goes, no, they're not mutilated. They're mutated. It's cute. And he starts telling me about the story of it and everything. And I'm going, yeah, I don't think so. And, but the thing was that it turned out he was a very nice guy and very influential in the Turtles. He was a guy that ran the toy company, or was the head sales guy for the toy company, but he ran toys. And what was going on was they were going through a transitional time. It was about a year before the show came out. And, of course, it was very dark, the original, the original stories were very dark. They had to be brightened up without taking away what was going on with it. And they wanted somebody that knew how to coordinate books, television, and toys, which is kind of what I did. So I said, okay, well, send me over what you got for a script. Let me take a look at it. I read the script and I said, oh, wait a minute. This is like Bonanza. I kind of like this. You had these kids. You had a father figure. You had the boys. The boys had more brawn than brains, basically. They got themselves into some trouble and everything, but they were an interesting kind of a family that was together. They learned lessons together. And then, there'd be bad guys show up on the Ponderosa. They'd beat them up. And then, instead of going to Hop Sing in the kitchen, in the dining room there, and he'd come out from the kitchen, they ordered pizza. I'm going like, this is Bonanza. All right. Well, it's around the really bad guy with the Three Stooges. We're all good. So that's what we did. So I did a lot of the Random House books. They wound up using the covers and a lot of that art from the Random House children's books on a lot of items. And I did things like, remember the little plastic, like turtle Halloween costumes?
Yep.
Yeah, I did those. Yeah, stuff like that.
Huh. I bet you my wife still has one in a closet somewhere. I'm gonna have to get that for the next con. I'll be like, yeah, she probably does. Her kids probably had that. Yeah.
You could knock me over with a feather that stuff is still, it's incredibly popular. I didn't even know Kevin and Peter at all. But they were sort of seeking me out, and it worked out very, very well. I mean, I was their outside guy, and we had a studio that could turn out what we needed to turn out in the quality that I wanted it to be. And I really enjoyed the property, and it was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And, and it's still rolling after all of this time. It's just crazy, man.
It's crazy. It is still rolling, though.
Yep.
Everybody likes turtles.
I know.
And pizza.
It's crazy. And pizza.
They've gone through so many different, looks, over the years. And yet, the classic turtles, it's still there, Still really enjoy them. I'm glad they do. I draw them, constantly. Kevin and I just did a con together in Huntsville, and it was insanity. Kevin's on one side of the corridor, I'm on the other side of the corridor. So, our lines were sort of merged. It was insanity. It was just turtle insanity the whole weekend. It was great.
That's awesome.
No. Have you run into Steve at all lately?
Oh yeah, I actually saw Steve this past weekend.
Oh, cool.
We did a Star Wars con
It was mostly Star Wars, but they had other things, obviously, so I'm not Star Wars.
Right.
Neither. But yeah, Steve was at the ICCC Nashville convention over the weekend, and we did.
We had a question come in. Tim Jones, who does Sour Grapes comic strip.
I remember Tim. Yeah, sure. Hi, Tim. Tim's a great cartoonist.
He is.
We love Tim. So he's always wanted to know. Did you do the writing for Nancy as well as draw it?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
There you go, Tim.
Yeah. In the early years of Nancy, the first 7 or 8 years or so, my brother Brad also wrote, and there were some years that he almost wrote all of it, depending on what my schedule was on other things. But as the years sort of wore on with the strip, I was writing more and more of it. And eventually, the last 13, 14 years or so, I wrote it all. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Very cool.
So at the cons, either at the cons or on your own, people ask for commissions and whatnot. What are some of the craziest crossovers people have asked you to do? Like Muppets as the Turtles or something like that.
Yeah. Well, there've been a lot of real fun ones that have come through. I really liked. I did the Muppets and Little Shop of Horrors, so we did Little Shop of Muppets. That was really fun. I also drew Kermit as Arnold Schwarzenegger. I did the Kerminator. That was. I did Elmer Fudd as the Punisher, going, "I'm punishing wabbits," But when it comes to the violent stuff, where there's a gun or something like that, it's always very cartoony gun. I don't do any violence or anything like that. So,
right.
But yeah, there have been a lot of really, really fun ones that have come up. I did one recently that's. You can see on my Facebook and stuff. It took me about 3 or 4 days just to draw and ink the piece, and then we digitally colored it. And it's not a goofy one, but it's a really cool one. It's the Errol Flynn, Olivia de Havilland, Robin Hood scene, where Robin is saying, "Welcome to Sherwood, m'lady," and all of the Muppets.
No way.
That's cool. Leo's already looking for it.
Yeah,
He's already looking for it. Did you see that? See, now, if you're listening to us on the radio station tonight, or if you're listening to us in podcast later, you've got to come watch us live, because you miss when Leo just turns away from everything and he's Googling. He's looking for that picture. So,
I just found you did the Muppets as Star Wars. Oh, that is so awesome.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, the Muppet Babies at Star Wars, that started out with the show. And then when I did the Muppet Babies lunchbox, we had, because we didn't do Star Wars exactly, but we did a Star Wars-esque, painting on the old Muppet Babies lunchbox from a million years ago.
Right. So now, if somebody was interested in purchasing like a print or something like that, and they can't get to a con, are those available on your website?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a huge sort of e-commerce presence, and you can go to the store at aguygilchristproduction.com, and on my Instagram, on the Facebook, everything, there's a link to all of it. You click on that store, and there are a lot of options. You can go, people like the pops, that I put on the pops. We have a website for that. We have the website for original art and prints. And then there's also a thing called the shout, like video shout out kind of thing, where you ask me to draw you a Kermit or a Michelangelo or a Pink Panther or something like that. And I do it for you, or for your fiance or your son or daughter or whatever. And I hold it up, and we, give a message to that person as well. So a lot of fun stuff up there.
And in case our viewers or listeners missed that, that's so cool.
That's badass.
Wow.
Well, look at you. You are Mr. Nimble Fingers pulling that up like that. Wow.
Wow. That was really cool. The Star Wars one. So these are just a few things that you folks can see on the e-commerce side of the store and stuff. And you can find all those links where, Leo?
On the show notes, up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us.
That's right. Always in the show notes. Everything about our amazing guests in the show notes. So definitely we want to urge you to go over and check out Guy's amazing artwork. I mean, there's something for everybody.
I've seen it live. I've seen this shit in person. It's unbelievable.
It's been a blast seeing you guys. I mean, I can't believe it's been 2 years since we've hung out. And,
I know.
Really fun hanging out with you guys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the con circuit's opening back up. Things are starting to open back up. So
things are rocking in the con world. Yeah.
You know, if nothing else, I will say this right now. If nothing else, even though we don't do the November show anymore, I'll make it a point to try to get up there and see you.
Oh, great.
You know, yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, we always loved hanging out. It was just the stories. I love listening to you talk about the stories about all these things. It's just kind of like I'm like a little kid sometimes.
I want to get my hands on one of them painted guitars.
I know.
So I can still tell stories.
Right. So if you missed that, folks, Guy has done some amazing work on guitars, like custom painting guitars with you gotta go
right now though. No more for a while. But yes, you can see them all. Please don't write to me. Ask me for one right now. I can't do it right now. No. You know, it's only like, it's only got 40 or 50 hours of my life, to put it
right.
Instead of working on something else. But no, I really do love. I love doing the guitars. I probably do about one a year these days.
Right. And the reason I bring that up is because, like I said at the beginning of the show, we don't have a lot of time left with you, but I do want to bring up the fact that you are also a musician.
Well, there are people that would say that's really not true. People that have actually heard me sing and play.
I listened to a couple of songs off of Angel in Black today, and I was like, wow. It's not like the style of music that I would normally be drawn to, but I give everything a chance, and I was very impressed. I was like, wow, this is really good.
Well, thanks. I
wasn't impressed.
You didn't even hear it.
No, I didn't.
I was mentioning, early on, I knew I wanted to be a storyteller, and and of course Elvis. My mom loved Elvis, and Little Richard, Jerry Lee, and all of that, and I grew up with all of that. I discovered Hank Williams records, and that sort of really did. Like, it just put me into outer space. I couldn't believe. So, you learn 3 chords and you start, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've had some great success. I moved to Nashville, about 16 years ago, something like that now. And I've been able to, just record with the best people. I've had half a dozen songs of mine that I sang, be on the radio, had some regional hits, sang on the Grand Ole Opry, on the Midnight Jamboree, and a lot of the dreams that I had once upon a time have come true in music, and it's been a very, very cool journey. Yeah, and you guys, people can hear. We don't have a Pandora channel, but we do have Spotify. And plus, all the songs, of course, are up on Amazon and YouTube.
On YouTube, yep.
Right. Can we get those on the Dead Dork?
I was just gonna ask him, what type of genre would you classify that music?
I grew up during the Vietnam era, and the Eagles, kind of stuff. So. So I guess folks would consider it, late 60s country.
That's what I was going for, like a country-ish.
It's sort of a late 60s country.
Kind of a folky country.
Yeah.
Mm.
Rock country. Folk.
Yeah.
Back in the day AM radio would play Waylon Jennings right next to Zeppelin, right next to the Moody Blues, right next to the Grassroots. It was like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
Soaked all of that up. And the latest record that I have, which is now about a year and a half or 2 years old, called Crystal Blue, not country at all. It was something that we did some jangly guitars with, and we had some fun. But a lot of the catalog is country, because it was country and alternative country and roots radio that was playing my music. It wasn't the top 40 country, but the roots country, and the majority of the airplay, believe it or not, comes from like all over Europe and Australia, where they're really into that Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, where also guys like Zach Brown do incredibly well. Of course, Zach does good anywhere, right?
Right.
Yeah. But of course, I grew up also with Southern rock, and there's a lot of Southern rock in what I play.
Yep. And you actually, I saw a picture on the internet not too long ago where you actually, I'm not sure if you got to play with, but you were up on stage with Charlie Daniels.
Oh yeah, Charlie used to invite me up every year at a benefit to sing with him. I sang with him a lot. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just blown away. I mean, he's one of my all-time favorites. And I grew up, I mean, I'm going to be 50 this year. You got a couple years on me, but I grew up listening to, like you said, the Johnny Cash, in the Southern style rock stuff. That's all my father would listen to.
Sure.
Well,
Charlie was a very, very close friend of mine, and we worked for some severely handicapped children, the Angelus House in Newport Richey, Florida. There was that we would have a golf tournament and a big auction and stuff. That's where I started doing those painted guitars, was for that auction for those. And Charlie would, have me up, to sing with him all the time. And the first time he did, though, he scared the heck out of me. It wasn't part of the big jam in front of the 10,000 people like it normally was. It was actually just in the room in the ballroom at the hotel I think it was at the Hard Rock, there, Seminole Hard Rock. And so Charlie was just jamming and playing some stuff. And Carolyn Corlew, his singer, Tommy Crane, the guitar player, and they're all up there, and they called me up. So they called me up and they go, and Charlie had them say, Sal's going to do it again. And so I figured, well, because there's the chorus, right? Sal's going to do it again, where everybody sings, right? So I figured that's what we're doing. So Charlie starts off, just take it. And I miss a beat. I go, train from Brown to Switch rolling right on time, and the Tucker boys cooking down in Carolina. And Charlie is in hysterics. Everyone knew they were going to do that to me. And then he sang along with it. It was like everyone knew that they were going to do that to me, except me.
No, that's a great story. That's a great story. So, but we are coming up on that time. Leo has another show tonight at 9 that he has to produce. So any last questions from up, the
It's been just tons of comments tonight.
There's been a ton of comments. There's a ton of viewers. But I mean, do either one of you have any more questions for our amazing guest?
Well, no, I was going to ask him when we're going to see him again, but obviously it's not till November.
Well, I don't.
Unless you're up in the area.
Well, I am going to be in the area. I'll be at Terrificon, which
okay.
I think that's around the 4th of July or something like that. I'm not looking not looking at my calendar right now.
Right.
But I know that I'll be in Connecticut at least then. And for anybody that's interested, if you go to the Facebook page, which is A Guy Gilchrist Production, pinned to my page at the top of the page all the time is where I'm going to be. So if you're interested in finding out if I'm going to be in your area or something like that, just kind of keep checking in. We do post a lot on Instagram and, and all of that where I'm going to be too, but it's always available there.
Very cool.
Very good.
Very cool.
Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys whenever I can.
Absolutely. Most definitely. We've had a blast.
Talked to Bill lately, Bill Diamond.
Oh, Jesus. He calls me so much. I look at the phone sometimes and go, no, not now.
I get that. Yeah, I get that. Bill and I are just the closest friends. We're both graduates of Henson High.
Yep.
I love Bill. And
we
Bill,
love Bill.
See it later on. I love you, man. I'll see you soon.
Yeah. I talk to him probably a couple of times a week.
Yep.
Please love, will you?
Yep.
I certainly will.
Yep. He doesn't call me. He doesn't call me as much as he used to when he found out that we might be related. Next time we're at a con together and we have time, I'll fill you in on the story when Bill's there. But yeah, it was pretty comical. I've never seen somebody dial the phone so fast to their wife to find out if it could be possible.
Right.
Hey guys, it's been a blast.
We've had a blast. So on that,
it's always so much fun. Leo, do your thing.
And
Okay.
Guy, hang out for just a couple of seconds when he closes the stream, please.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for watching this evening. For our awesome guest, definitely check the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. For me, just Google Leo Pond. You'll find a bunch of stuff. Could be true, could be not. But I run a little thing called the Dorkening Podcast Network. We got a ton of shows on the network. A lot of awesome people doing a lot of awesome stuff. Guy, where do you like people interacting with you on social media?
Facebook is great. It's aguygilchristproduction.com. Also on Instagram, and it's Guy F as in Frog Gilchrist, and on Twitter as well.
Awesome. Jeffrey.
You can Google Jeff, but you're not going to find me. Just go to stilltoking.com. You'll find everything you need to know about us. And for those that like our show, you can watch all of our previous episodes. All the links are on our website under Still Toking With.
And I think I proved that. Yes, you can be Googled.
I can. Oh, you did prove that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see his eyes?
Anybody.
Look at he's all excited now.
Don't tell anybody.
Stop telling him you're going to Google him, will you, please?
Benjamin.
Oh, my. So, as always, we want to thank our amazing guest for coming out and hanging out tonight. Hopefully, our viewers and listeners learned something they didn't know about him, or just were introduced to him, and now they're going to run out and want to see him, which is what we encourage. So, to all our veterans and first responders, we want to thank you for doing what you do every day, so people like us can do what we do. Stay safe. We'll see you next week.
Bye.